Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Limitless Speaks. My name is Shay, and I'm here with two very special guests.
I'm Raymond.
I'm Deborah.
Nice. So today we're going to be discussing navigating friendships. Many of you might find this helpful if you're transitioning into university, but I also think this is kind of applicable generally in life because if you're going to be walking through humans every day, you're going to know how to kind of navigate conflicts or situations that might arise that you don't know how to deal with. So let's get started. My first question for you guys will be, what do you think are good principles for friendships? Like, what would you say that if someone was to describe what a good friendship looks like, you would have like, oh, this is what it requires? Whichever one wants to start, please. Thank you.
I'm happy to start.
Okay.
I think one good principle for a quality friendship, I would say, is mutuality. Like, regardless of whatever the basis of the friendship is, let it be mutual. I think poor friendships can be one-sided. There's a lot of one-sidedness found.
I feel that for real. Yeah, because sometimes it feels like one person's kind of putting in more effort than the other person, and it's always a bit uneven, and that doesn't really end well. Yeah. What would you say, Deborah?
I think maybe respect and trust as well is like two big things in a friendship. Like if you don't trust each other, then obviously that's not a strong like foundation to have to build your friendship on. And also like respect, like you need to respect each other so that like even if you do have like conflicting things like ideas or like opinions, because you have like that like mutual respect for each other, then it shouldn't like spiral or anything like that.
Okay. That's great. Love that. So one of the things I've got here is that it's important to choose your friends wisely. And I've got a few verses for that. Proverbs 12:26 says, "The righteous should choose his friends carefully, for the way of the wicked leads them astray." Another says, "He who walks with wise men will be wise, but the companion of fools will be destroyed." As you know, Apostle Joshua Selman's statement and quote of, hey, if you've got 5 fools around you, you're counting wrong. It's 6, like you're one of them. So what would you say to that? Do you have any like additions to that specific?
Yeah, I think I would, not necessarily an addition, but a point of emphasis where it says the companion of fools will be destroyed. You don't even have to be a fool. You just have to, like you said, you just have to be around them and, you know, you're on your way to destruction. So definitely just, you know, echoing the point of choosing who you associate with, you know, so many examples across scripture, but for time we won't go too much
into there.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say?
Yeah, like choosing the people that you surround yourself with is really important because like we're kind of like sponges. So whatever we surround ourselves with is like we'll eventually find it in ourselves as well. So like if you're surrounded by like fools, for example, like you might just find yourself, you know, having like that kind of traits or negative things that you wouldn't like necessarily think you'd have in your life before being surrounded by those people.
Yeah, I agree. You know, as the Bible says in 1 Corinthians, do not be deceived. Evil company corrupts good habits. So even when you're not necessarily meaning to have those habits, you're picking things up from other people. I didn't used to say a specific phrase, and then I started hanging around with someone, and now I'm saying it every day. That's just kind of how that's going to work. But it can also work positively. So you pick up good habits from people who are saying good things, you know, over their lives, or who aren't, you know, I don't know, cursing, things like that. You can actually learn a lot from people, but you can also be pulled down by people, essentially, is kind of the point I wanted to emphasize. Is there anything else you would say for like principles? Anything else, like good communication? Teamwork, yeah?
I would say shared values.
Shared values. Okay, great. Now we're gonna do a little bit of a game. So it's just gonna be, it's not gonna be too much pressure, guys. Guys, it's not gonna be pressure. All I want you to do is go between yourselves and just say examples of good friendships in the Bible. So you need to say the name of the person and the other person, or like the group, or that we kind of know. Yeah. We'll start with you, Deborah.
Okay.
Because I feel like Raymond has already thought that we're gonna give it to her. Go on.
Elijah and Elisha.
Nice.
Okay, I'm David and Jonathan.
That's the one I first thought. Yeah, go on. Next.
Jesus and his disciples.
Yeah, that's good friendship. Was that yours?
Sorry.
Yours?
Oh, that's a good one. Paul and Barnabas.
Nice. I've got that one down as here as well. I'll throw one in. Naomi and Ruth.
I was about to say that.
Oh, okay. I should have let you go on. Any others? Any others? Now, from here, it gets a little bit,
Mary and Elizabeth.
I'm good. I'm a competitive guy. They were family.
No,
Can you
it
be
still
family and friends
counts.
at the
You
same
count
time?
because Naomi and Ruth were relatives.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and I've got another one here that is technically family, but people online thought that it still counted. So I'm actually counting it. But I appreciate your competitive spirit.
No worries, no
Your
worries.
competitive
Okay,
spirit.
I'll say Paul and Timothy.
Okay, next.
Could I say Peter and Andrew, since they're brothers and friendship, kind of? Does that
Okay.
work?
Yeah,
Maybe.
I will allow it.
Okay.
I will allow it. Go on, Raymond.
Oh,
There's an obvious one you guys are not actually thinking of, and that's another one I first kind of thought of. So it's like a group of people.
Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Oh.
Actual round of applause. That's good. That's it, pretty much. Yeah. Any more? And this will just be a final last. If you've got any more, say just shout it out. Whoever can. I think that's even now. So whoever comes up with the next one will win. There's no prize, but you'll win. You win. 3,
I think I can think of it.
2, 1. 1. Okay. Great. Great.
No, that was-
I've got here Abraham and Lot, which apparently,
I wanted to-
still counts. Some people even said Moses and his father-in-law, Jethro.
Okay.
Technically, if we're counting Naomi and Ruth.
Fair.
But yeah, Paul and Barnabas, Daniel, Shadrach, and Meshach. Yeah, pretty much. Now, let's get a bit philosophical. Let's go down a little bit deeper in terms of friendship. What would you consider friendship? Like, what do you think defines a friendship? Is it amount of information that a person has on someone? How often they spend with the other person? Yeah, let's start from there.
Okay. So I, had a meeting about this. Well, I had a discussion about this with Pastor Chris, our pastor here in Aberdeen.
Mm-hmm.
And he said that there are two definite things you will see for a true friend. And one, like you said, is being able to tell them, almost anything, and knowing like there's that kind of that confidence of confidentiality that they're you're not going to tell them today and anywhere. So that one, and then being able to be your full self around the person, like people you will find you're not reserved at all around them. Like that's you in your best state, you in your worst state, like absolutely anything. You're just your complete self around them.
Okay.
So I think that those were the two key traits that he said to me.
Yeah. Would you have anything to add on to that? Or
Yeah, it's basically the same thing, I would say. Like just someone that you can trust and you can be your full self around.
Great. Do you guys think there's such a thing as like casual friends? Or do you think it's more of like, well, like according to your definition, a lot of the people that you probably speak to regularly probably don't fall like within that category of like being able to pour your whole hearts to them. So do you think they're still technically your friends, but just casual, like a lower level? Or are we putting the bar a little bit higher? Like we're going to call them friends, but they're more like acquaintances or people that we meet because we kind of don't have anyone else to talk to.
I mean, for me, like I have people that like are in my course that I see like every day and I would talk to them. So I'd call them friends. I mean, I guess you could call them acquaintances as well, but I guess it just like depends on the type of person you are. Like, since if you're like a naturally friendly person, you just call everyone your friend, but you can have like best friends, or you can have like more mature friendships than the ones that like you just see like every day or you just say hi to, for example.
Yeah, but you would still call the other
them
people
friends,
your
yeah.
friends. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's just like how it is. Like the
It is
term
like
friend.
society, like
The term
that's
friend
uses
is
it
just
quite
kind of
liberally.
used.
Yeah.
But if you peg it down to the things we had said, then you wouldn't
doesn't
call a lot of
technically
people
count.
your friends. But as it is now, a lot of people are your friends. And I think for us, it doesn't matter what you call person. Like if you call everyone your friend and this, that, I think it's just like being able to classify your relationships and actually knowing the nature of whatever friendship. So if it's really an association, but the person's called your friend, you should kind of know that so that you're not giving the wrong thing to the wrong person or expecting something more from somebody that is not on that closer
Could
level.
I kind of ask you along those lines? Like, how would you do that? How do you know where someone has placed you in terms? Because I feel like that's a question at least I have had quite a lot of times. Like, okay, but how do I know that they're considering me to this amount of friendship? What would you kind of classify that? Sorry, just because you kind of gave.
Yeah.
you
No,
said
no,
it, so I was like,
that's really. I think like we had said mutuality. So kind of seeing if you're objectively assessing the relationships, do I have to initiate every conversation? If we're gonna call, is it me? If things like that, and then even when we call, when we talk, am I the one pouring out myself to this person, and they're actually just like more listening
Just
and
chill,
things
like-
like that? So I think
yeah.
just kind of genuinely just really having an honest measurement of those two things. Are they wanting to talk to me? Are they their full selves around me? You know, sometimes you might think somebody's a close friend and then you find out something about them later on, and it's not like you were entitled to that information. It just shows you that, okay, maybe I'm not in that place that I would have known this. So I think just honestly just assessing effort and just what you know about the person and things like that.
I like that. Take note of that. Assessing effort. That one's really good. Yeah. What would you say, Deborah?
Yeah, I think it's just like sometimes you could fall into like it kind of being subjective, like to you, like, or like they're your best friend, but to them, like maybe they have like other friends that they'd like deem higher, like more friends than you.
Tier list.
Yeah, kind of like that. So, but yeah, just like it was said before, like, just being like observant and seeing like, is it me that's like trying to initiate all the conversations? Like, am I putting more effort? Or like, even you shouldn't like dismiss your own like feelings. Like, if you feel like, oh, this person isn't like really putting in the effort that I'm putting in, like you should just, you know, take note of that and like maybe either like bring them up on it or just like take note and be like, okay, maybe they're not the same tier as like I would put them.
Okay. But you would suggest that if that was the case, would you say that you should distance yourself from it if it looks like they're not kind of putting out the same energy you're putting in?
I feel like with friendships, like communication is really good. So before you like isolate yourself or distance yourself, like if you like see this person and you're like, oh, I want to be friends with them, I want to deepen our relationship. Like the initial relationship you have with someone, it's not going to be like the end all. Like you can build your relationships. And if you feel like, oh, I'm not as close to this person, but I want to be close to this person, then you can talk to them about it instead of like distancing yourself.
Yeah, I agree. Do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't even think there would be a need to quote unquote distance yourself. Just know what the relationship is and be able to call it what it is. Like, this isn't like, okay, I thought this was a close friendship, but it's not.
But it's
and you can
not.
act accordingly. Like, if you still want to talk to the person and you can initiate a conversation with them and
it doesn't
and then they will respond at least
Yeah.
to the message, then like, you know, call them when you feel like it, do that, but just make sure you know, and so you can manage expectations. So it's a thing of, okay, I feel like talking to this person and they will even give me time when I want to, but it's not that I'm expecting them to now initiate conversations. I'm expecting them to put in more effort, X, Y, and Z. So once you can label this as like, okay, I like talking, but they're not really reciprocating that much. It's like, okay, that's fine. It is what it is. And then you can just be honest, and so that bitterness and things. But like Deborah had said, I'm not going to flesh it out again. But like, if you desire to genuinely
then you should
to genuinely
chase
be
that
closer,
up.
then
Yeah.
you should chase it up. Yeah.
Great. That's really good. That's really good advice. Hope you guys are listening to that. I would say my next question is taken from someone outside of this recording. But do you think that you should be friends with everyone?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think there, especially like as Christians, like because we're striving to be more like Christ, there's some people that are like negative influences because like everyone's coming from different like backgrounds and stuff. So someone's values might be different from your values. And like we said before, like you want to surround yourself with people that will help you grow in your faith and become a better person. So if you're surrounding yourself with people that aren't like-minded or have different values that kind of contradict yours, I don't think you should be friends with those kind of people.
Absolutely. And just, you know, building on, Deborah took my example in the game of Jesus and his disciples. No worries. But if you look at John 15:15, you know, Jesus said to the disciples, and I'm paraphrasing now, but I'm no longer calling you servants. I'm calling you friends. You know, because the servant doesn't know what the Lord is doing. Whatever my Father's revealed to me, I'm sharing it with you. So it's like there's a point where Jesus is saying, there was John 1:14, and it's in John 15, Jesus is now saying, I'm calling you guys
like
friends.
the whole time we were together, you were kind of
Do you
just
understand?
servants, but like
It was
now
here,
we're
now
friends.
I'm calling you friends. And in John, is it John 2? But it said that Jesus wasn't quick to commit. He didn't commit to any man because he knew the hearts of men. So don't be quick to call people friends. And it's not everybody that's your friend.
Yeah.
I think something is like, with friends, you'll just discern them at times. It's something that's a lot deeper than natural. Oh, I like that. No, you will discern a true friend with time. Maybe God will open your eyes, or situations will bring you together. Like it says about Jonathan and David that, their souls were knit together. So that is beyond the
That
natural
one
realm.
was-
So
yeah, it was deep.
friends is something that you just be able to discern with time. So
I'm curious. A lot of people do say like, well, Jesus, like he was kind of casual with people that he didn't necessarily think were living the right lifestyles. And he was sitting and eating with sinners and stuff like that. So why is it a big deal if why do I have to separate myself and kind of only focus on values that also align with me? I'm curious to know your thoughts on that. And then I'll say my own afterwards. Who wants to start? Raymond, you look like you're...
okay, I don't mind. I'm happy to. I think there are people you see on occasion. There's a difference between seeing people on occasion and walking with somebody. So Jesus sat with tax collectors. Jesus sat with sinners on occasion. He walked with 12. And even at times, he said, no, 9 of you, wait here.
Leave.
Only
I'll take
Peter,
these
James,
3.
and John
Yeah,
come
yeah,
with me.
yeah.
So I would say that, yes, we from time to time, we'll have, we can associate with people and go out. We're sent into the world. We're going to associate with people, whether we like it or not, at work, at school, in all manner of places. We're not called to now just seclude ourselves because we're believers, but who we intentionally choose to walk with day after day. And I think that's where we now say how we're choosing our associations intentionally and deliberately. And that's what we need to watch out for.
Okay. Yeah. Would you agree?
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's like we can't just like put ourselves in like a vault and just like just not interact with other people. Especially like even if they're not Christians or anything, we can't just like be like, oh, I don't want to speak to you. So with people like that, like we can build our own kind of barriers. Like you can still be friendly with people, but like if you have like the own like conscious like thought inside you, like, oh, I can't let this person influence me. I can't do the same things that they're doing. Like you can still talk to them, say hi, and be friendly with them, but just like that barrier, you should still keep in mind.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with both of you. So I kind of hold the opinion, kind of similar to Raymond, where I've differentiated kind of levels of friendship. And sometimes you need to keep people at an arm's length who are going to influence you poorly if you kind of let it develop into anything more than it needs to be. So you kind of keep that sort of arm's length, not completely disappearing because, you still want to be a good influence and show like the Christ's light to them, but also remembering that your true friends really should just be people who are, walking alongside with God and also striving to follow his will every day. And it shouldn't just be kind of spread around like everyone's my friend, because then you'll kind of stumble in your own mission. Oftentimes, I feel like that happens when you're allowing a lot of people to influence you and there's no criteria that you're kind of imposing. It can often mean that then you're following and you're kind of going along with the averages of everyone instead of first following God and then sort of choosing people that are close friends based on that criteria. But let's go into something that's a little bit harder, maybe, to kind of give practical. Sorry, I hope you guys have, thank you so much. Again, love speaking with you guys, but hope you guys will bear with me. This one might be a bit difficult. How would you encourage or sort of advise someone to deal with a friendship that is souring or like conflicts that are arising? It's a big thing, but whoever has an idea can speak first.
I think like conflict's always gonna like crop up in friendships, and I guess like if we go back to the tier thing, like if it's someone that you've like let's say it's your best friend, for example, this person, and like obviously like we're humans, we have like anger at times or frustration, but we shouldn't let that like fuel our actions or how we speak to the person. And like dealing with like trying to navigate conflict, we should like go in with the trying to like empathy, because like it's a mutual relationship. They're probably feeling frustrated as well. So are you. And you kind of want to navigate this in a way that it doesn't end up breaking the friendship like completely. And so I think kind of maybe just like praying for starters, because like you can't go wrong with praying, like asking for guidance, or even like asking someone else. Like obviously you're not gonna like out all your business to other people, but maybe like another trusted person. Just like if you can't think of a solution yourself, maybe ask for guidance from someone else. Like how can I navigate this? And so on.
And I like what you said about like if it's a close friendship that you actually want to keep, you know, and that's something that I feel like a lot of people maybe haven't realized yet. So that's something I'm taking from this conversation, is the fact that like we should really be thinking a lot more about our friendships instead of just kind of letting them happen and letting people steer you in any way. But yeah.
Absolutely.
You agree? Or
I agree. I agree absolutely. And no, I think as well with conflict in friendships, just like Deborah said, lead with prayer, lead with wisdom, but as far as you can, don't leave anything unsaid. You know, how you're feeling, you know, what a person's done, you know, from the place of empathy, from the place of understanding, make sure that you're putting everything out there in a sense, because like we said, this isn't an acquaintance, this is a friend, you know, and there's conflict in this friendship. So make sure you put everything out there, and also just having that knowledge as well. Like I think you said, this is a friendship we want to keep. Some friendships can be seasonal. There can be seasons of separation. There can be seasons of coming together and closeness and things like that. So maybe sometimes it's just a case of, is this going to be a season of separation? And for those circumstances, I'd say just making sure we're not forcing anything. So
what do you mean by that? Sorry.
By forcing something, I think like, you know, maybe if one or both of you are naturally drifting apart, but no forcing like,
I will not let this friendship die.
I'm not going to let this friendship die. Like I'm going to hold on to this person, even if it's draining, even if every time we meet it's conflict, even if, you know, spiritually God is taking me just somewhere else right now, not necessarily higher or lower, but just somewhere else, and you're not really aligning at this point in time, or situations have kind of come up. You know, sometimes forcing things that you just find every time you go to the person you're drained. Every time you go to the person, there's conflict. Every time you're even nervous now to be yourself around them, to tell things. So like, I think, but when you're just still doing that for the sake of history, then maybe you're now forcing something. So I think that's a very honest question we need to all ask ourselves.
Yep, that's very good. I was sort of thinking when I was preparing this about like Saul and David, and how like it started really good. They were like, oh yeah, this is my, like basically my son. So I was like, yeah, this is my son, David, you know, I love him, gonna make him my armor bearer. And then like 2 chapters later, jealousy happens, and suddenly we're chasing this man literally across the whole of Israel to murder and kill him. It's like, and David handled that with so much grace, because when he was in the cave and he had the opportunity to kill Saul, he decided not to. You know, he was like, I cannot kill the Lord's anointed. How do we operate with that level of discernment when we're coming to our friendships that are sort of soured and not gone in the way that we wanted to? Deborah, do you have anything to say? It's a deep question.
Yeah,
it is actually.
I think like going back to David now, like when he was in the cave and he had the opportunity to kill him and he didn't, like that kind of like patience, because like obviously if someone's done something wrong to you, like the natural human like instinct would be like revenge, like how could you do this to me, like I'd make you pay for so and so. But like the patience and self-control that you must have like in a friendship, just so that you don't like you know, act out on something and it ends up spiraling into something negative. I think that's like that patience and self-control is something that we should all have, like when conflict arises. It's
really good. I feel like I know what you're gonna say, but go on, say it. Let me see if I'm right.
Let me see.
No. Go on. I want to see if I'm correct.
That's for sure. I think something in terms of David and Saul, you know, David was, in all things, he wanted to please God, and he recognized Saul as God's anointed. And I think sometimes, regardless of how we're feeling and regardless of the situation, we need to strive to please God in how we handle ourselves and what we say specifically, because there are ways we can actually put the javelin in someone's that's not physical, you know, talking about them poorly behind their back, or you know, bitterness or ill will, allowing bitterness to fester, gossiping, things like that. So I think that's all I had to say. I don't know.
Okay. It was kind of similar. When you were speaking, I was just reminded of the fact that, like, I think that's the way that God has called us to operate, is that when we're seeing his children, which are like everyone else is also his children, we have to kind of come under that approach of like, sure, they might have done something wrong, but they're still God's child. Like, even if they've done something wrong to me personally, I don't know how much, like, we need to come onto that. We're not saying that you necessarily need to maintain the friendship, but it will keep you from doing and stumbling upon things that you really shouldn't be saying, or adding to the fire when you shouldn't, because you're seeing them in a way of like, that's God's child, that's God, that's someone that God could change for the better, you know? That's the sort of level that I feel like can also be. But yeah, we do need to be wrapping up now, unfortunately. I'm really so sad to see you guys off. But just very, very short, brief, last final words. What would you say for viewers who are going to take away anything from this episode? Like, what would be the one key point that you would say that they should walk away with in navigating their friendships?
I think like the main thing is just how do you think God would want you to act in your relationships with other people? Like, would he want you to be empathetic? Would he want you to lash out on the person? And also circling back to the being observant, like kind of knowing like the tier of friendship, so you don't end up hurting yourself in the process. Like, don't think that, this person, I think they're great, I think they're like my best friend, but in doing that, you're kind of like harming yourself in a way. So just being observant with your friendships, I think that's the main thing.
Okay, yeah.
That's it. Yeah. So my honest answer will be, honesty with yourself and honesty with others. And then maybe people will say the spiritual answer, but the truth, Jesus is your best friend. The Holy Spirit is your best friend. Acknowledge that and operate accordingly. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. You guys have spoken so well today. I'm sure a lot of people have taken words, so much knowledge, so much wisdom from everything you've said. Thank you guys so much for coming to sort of have a casual conversation with us today on friendship. We hope that you leave any comments below on anything that you found particularly insightful, and we'll see you next time. But yeah, bye. Please follow us as well. Please follow us.